Miles, what's up, dude?
How are you guys?
Hey, mate. All good?
Fantastic, man. Fantastic.
So nice to have another champion in the room. I've normally got to deal with these.
Sure, that was nice.
You know, I thought about that for a long time.
Second place in production cars is pretty high up there, I got to say. In
It's
Class
still not a
G.
champion.
It's not champion yet. It's like kissing your sister, but anyway.
So we have to go there. We're second place. We've got to insert so early on in the episode. Rory Atkinson, current VW Polo Cup champion.
Multiple Volkswagen Challenge champion.
But current
Yes, what I'm saying.
VW Polo Cup champion.
Just remember, there is a accolade that
no,
there's
there's
a
not.
long list
Yeah.
behind Rose's names. And Rose, good to have you in the studio, buddy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Dude, it's. I mean, you and I go back a long way. I know that you and Carl go back a long way from the racing side of things. But
Yeah.
I've literally been chatting about you since you jumped in a front wheel drive Volkswagen and dominated from the word go. I mean, a lot of people. I get it all the time, and please don't take offense to this. But when you look at Rory, you go, "There's no way that guy can drive a car."
It's very unassuming man, yeah.
Completely the opposite to what you'd assume. Climbs out of a race car and just does what he does on the track.
Yeah.
So it's a positive thing that I'm saying in your defence is that you get into a race car, but you turn into a different animal.
No, thank you, man. It's really just my happy place, man. There's no better place, and when as you put that helmet on, like the world goes quiet.
Yeah.
And then okay, in a kart it was sort of you sat down, helmet on, and then the engine, you start the engine, but in a car it's like you just close the door and then it's like quiet. I'm on my.
It's only you, yeah. It's a whole team to build it up to that point, though, which is what a lot of people forget about. Like, I know we look at racing, we look at the drivers, we talk about the drivers, the drivers are the heroes. But there's a whole team behind that to get you there. But you've done your racing a little bit differently, more of the old school route. You know, you came to karting a little bit late. I think it was your matric year when you joined us.
I was actually in varsity already.
Oh, right. Sure. Yeah. That you joined us in Senior Max, which at that point, on road tax at that point, which was the biggest class at the time we had. It was myself, Matthew Hodges, Gennaro Bonafide, Lauren Colquhoun. I mean, the list of names goes on. And you were right up there with us from day one.
Well, no, it was even worse because when I first started, there was Gavin.
Oh, right, yeah.
There was Briggs, there was Mark, Leroy, all those guys, Michael Stevens, all going mad there.
Jeez.
And I remember it's because my dad, what happened was in varsity, he said, okay, if you pass your first year, you can get my old stuff, because him and a mate had started playing in what was the Max 172s back in the day.
Wasn't the mate Smallberger?
No, it was actually a guy, Peter Grove.
Yes,
we met Smallberger and Voldy and a number of guys at the circuit there.
Yeah.
But basically, he said, you can have all my old stuff. So I got his old helmet, his old overalls, everything. And if you pass your first year of varsity. So I became an academic overnight.
As you work to get a free seat, yeah.
We spoke about incentives in motorsport.
That is one.
Yeah. Pass your exams, you in. So, I mean, my social life went to zero. Studying went high up and started there. But, of course, when I arrived at my first race, it was at Petersburg, which is now we know as
Polo Cup.
I remember that, yeah.
And
that track's
And
quite
that was
daunting.
gnarly, man.
Yeah.
That big hairpin at the bottom, the right hander, it's like a quad corner, never mind a triple.
No, I think that horrible chicane before that was definitely the
Axel Bender, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we arrived there on the Saturday morning. Being amateurs, you didn't go practice the day before. We're just going to race, you know. And I'm ready. I've got a pile of lead on the cart because it was a higher weight class for the older guys. And they said, no, you're too young. You can't race there. So started sweating a few bullets. They're like, no, you got to go into the challenge. And it was a regional or a small event there, and all the guys were using it as practice. But then what they did was they said, okay, listen, we haven't got time for qualifying, so we'll just draw numbers out the hat.
I can see that going.
Baptism of fire, yeah, man.
Well, Murphy's Law, I drew number one. I drew pole.
First ever race.
And I'm checking all these guys. They got all the gear. I've got absolutely no idea. And they just said, stick to your line, which I did, which they all blew me in about 3-4 corners.
Yeah. Through the wheels of your car all day, mate. But baptism of fire.
I was hacking, literally chopping down trees with a steering wheel, going all over the place. And actually that race meeting I got lapped. So on the way home in the car, it's about 3.5 hours or so. I remember talking to my dad saying, Dad, that's the last time that's ever happening to me again. And then we started doing a bit of practice and obviously getting our head down a bit, you know.
No, when you went from there to join what was then the kart shop, which was Leroy Polter and Mark Renier, I think, at the stage.
Yes.
And then it just switched to Leroy and Neil. Was Neil Curtis and Mark, and then Neil and Leroy Polter ran that team. I joined you there.
Yes.
And then you went from that situation to then being a front runner in possibly the most competitive class at its time, the Senior Max. I think we were 30 on the grid. I think that one final was unbelievable. We swapped leads 10 or 15 times. You stepped out of a go-kart and then went straight to front-wheel drive car. Yes. But you did that while still managing boardroom babies and then going balls to wall on the track. So it's a little bit different to what you're racing now. And then to walk away with a national championship, having to run your own business during the week, look after the family, look after the kids, and go and race against a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who their only occupation is to drive a race car. I mean, that must have been... And it's still with your dad.
Yes. Yeah, still with my old man. He's always there. But yeah, it is hectic at times, but also, you know, if it's your passion, it's what gets you up in the morning. So
no, exactly.
You know, you whatever you're passionate about, you make time for. So
I just love the fact that when we've spoken about it with a few of our guests and the way that the family aspect gets brought in. I mean, Squirrely is your number one supporter. There's no doubt about it. And Mom too. And I mean, I'm going to mention Mom because it was a tough year when Mom passed on. And I think when you climbed out of the car and I put that mark in your face and said, listen, you've done it. You've got the national championship. I don't think it had sunk in at that point, Ross.
No. I mean, still even now I get goosebumps. I don't really wake up thinking I'm a champion. You know, you're always just like focused on the next race, the next event, and just getting the opportunity to hop in and perform, you know. I mean, if we go back, karting actually ended because of budget.
Yes.
You know, my dad had a bit of a turn in business and stuff, so it ended. So I was then working for Derek Smallberger at Sabertech at the time, and he let me use his engine a little bit, and I finished a year there. But then I got married the following year, and he gave me an old race car as a wedding present.
Yeah.
So your first VW Challenge car.
Derek to my wedding anniversary.
So your first VW Challenge car was actually a gift for your wedding anniversary.
Yes, because he had started playing in Challenge then, and
that's right.
And he had found an old Carlos Nobre car. It had literally been sitting under a tree. Was quite rusty. We had to do a lot of sanding and scraping, to get it right. Now, even when I remember when he brought it to the office and I drove it down the road for the first time, I'd never been in a race car where there's no insulation.
Yeah.
And in Centurion, there's a lot of loose stones on the road. So I'm like, I'm going to die in this. But I still remember thinking, but I'm still going to
put
give it trying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which was cool. It was just another opportunity or challenge. And man, in the beginning, we used to scrape. I mean, I think I had 6 new tires for the new season because I used to use my Christmas bonus to buy tires and stuff for that car for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
It was, yes,
the
it wasn't
incredible thing is, Ross, and so what a lot of people wouldn't realize is, and if you go back and see some of the footage, and you can pick it up probably on Robbie Waitman's page, they've put a couple of the old Volkswagen Challenge races together and stuff, and we'll try and find some footage as well and maybe chuck up a few little clips
into the
B-reels. But I just love the fact that when you climbed in, you were sort of the same situation as you were in karting. You came in as the new gun, the rookie, in a car that you now find out that you got for your wedding present, but almost instantaneously as competitive as the guys you've just mentioned. I mean, Smallberg is a big name in front-wheel drive Volkswagens. You mentioned Voldy. I mean, Voldy was, at one point, he was pretty much untouchable in that Volkswagen Challenge class. You had to really be on your game to beat Voldy Mikey's.
Until Rory
got there. And then it was, okay, now Rory's here, now we're going to change it all up. But there's been guys that have sort of come in, left, come back again, left, come back again. And the Challenge class has had a big turnaround. And a couple of sponsors that joined in. You've had the likes of Paybar in there. You've had the likes of Goldwagen in there. There's certainly an interest in the class because of the way it's set up and the way it works. Yes, there's been a little bit of sort of argy-bargies and maybe some changes in thinking and mind thoughts, which happens when you've got people involved that are passionate about the sport, and sometimes those passions don't sort of meet eye to eye. But I think what I saw is there was always potential for you to go there, but there was never ever the opportunity. When that opportunity arose, what was it, 2 years ago, that you climbed into the Polo Cup car for the first time? You were up close and personal for the championship last year or the year before. And then last year, everything just clicked. But when I say that, not only was it Derek, there's also a really great relationship between Haupt and yourself. And you've really, you've worked that to your advantage in every race car you've been in.
Yeah, I mean, I met him. He was getting back into racing after a long layoff in VW Challenge, and yeah, I just said to him, listen, and I can't really afford to pay you much, but I'd love to work with you. And since then, I mean, it was 2009, 2010, we built a relationship, and it's just when you start to understand your mechie and speak the same language and really fine-tune things, that's where we were just able to work together, and even take old Rusty Bucket, to Swartkops on a Wednesday and go around and talk about changing something or feeling it out. And
that is something I want to touch on. That is something I want to touch on with you, Rorks, and it's because I've been in the paddock with you a long time, and we talk a lot, and I've even been lying underneath cars with you, and we were trying to get Matt's car to work and changing pipes and figuring things out with no knowledge of the car, but just enough to swing spanners. And that seems to be your way forward, is that you've always gone into motorsport, not only as a driver, but you go into motorsport going, let me understand the equipment that I'm in, understand what makes it go the best, and understand how best to communicate what I need from the car to my mechanic, which seems to be, with a lot of drivers that I work with, something that is missing. And I think it's very much one of your anchor points of the success you had through every series, because you've won a VW Challenge, you've won in everything you've gotten into. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it doesn't just go to your driving talent, which is very, very, very high. You also put the work in behind the scenes with the car, understanding the car and understanding what it needs. Now, a lot of people that are involved in motorsport don't do that. They come in, they go, the car's not right, fix it. Now, a mechanic can't fix the car unless you can tell them what is wrong with that car. And you came from no experience. So what gave you that understanding of mechanics and that understanding of a car? What gave that to you? Or was it just learning and asking the right questions that got you to that point?
So it was actually in karts, I mean, there were a lot of youngsters like yourself, which were just way more talented, fast, just incredible young talents, where I felt I had to know a bit more and understand a bit more if I was going to try and beat them. Uh-huh. And I found just, learning from the go-kart, casters, cambers, what is it actually doing? And a lot of that, when you change something, what is it doing mechanically to the machine that's enabling you to achieve a better turn in or a better mid corner or a better exit? And I think slowly building up the repertoire, the knowledge of it is then when you understand that, you can now, when you drive a car or something, you're thinking, okay, I need a bit more of this, but how can I achieve that? Mm-hmm. And then, it's really helpful. So when you come in and talk to a mechanic, or especially a technical guy like Andre, you're saying, I'm feeling something. It's not just I've got a shudder or
I've got understeer or
yeah. It's more like I feel like maybe the wheel's dropping too quickly, or you can start pinpointing.
Yeah, or weight transfer is not quite right, or things like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Where a lot of young drivers just come in and turn the wheel and say, car's not turning, as a rubbish. And I've always made it also a fact that where I always look at myself first. Could I change something first before the car to achieve what I need to do, and that's where practice sessions, and especially, building up to qualifying, on the day, you can't make big changes. You should have done a lot of your homework. And then it's
beforehand,
Yes, and then especially like in a Polo Cup, it's fine-tuning yourself and your technique to achieve it,
Well, it goes back to the Derek Irving saying of piss poor preparation equals piss poor performance. You focus more on the preparation side to ensure that you're comfortable with the car and the car is working the way you want it to. Now, you obviously got that from, you're in Rusty Buckets, you're out on the track, it's the first time out. It doesn't turn the way you should do. Then you come into the business and say, well, let's try something and see what it does. Is that more like along the lines of what you were doing in those days? Like try this up, down on the high right, just make changes and feel the difference?
Yeah. And I mean, just that first car was an old Polo player with the big ugly boot. But they were quite cool, and they had like a Golf 3 steering rack.
Polo Classics.
I had 2 of them. Polo Classics. Yeah, they were great.
And they were actually phenomenal machines. They were quite reactive when you did something, and it also didn't have power steering, so you really had to work that steering wheel quite hard, especially if it got out of shape. Then you were in trouble because you could hardly hang on to it.
You just asked Bianca Lagrange at West Bank Raceway when we did West Bank Blacklist with her, Celebrity Blacklist. She climbed in my Polo and she went round. She was like, "This car doesn't want to turn." I was like, "You got to turn it, baby. You got to
You got to wrestle it. Yeah. And I mean, there, you add a bit more camber. You from karting, you always were looking at reading the tires and what's happening, and you carry that across to a car. Obviously some of the mechanics of how it operates is a bit different.
Yes.
A lot of the principles are all the same,
Is it when you say that, the crop of Volkswagen Challenge cars you jumped out of to come into Polo Cup were literally the old Polo Cup cars. So the progression, or was it a bit easier to progress from what those cars were into the new cars, or were they completely different, Ross?
Yeah, so we actually got it was not last year, the previous year. I only did 2 or 3 Polo Cup races because we only got a car mid-season.
Correct, yes.
Because there was a whole change with VW Challenge happening, and we didn't have a new motor and all of this. So, but the previous version of VW Challenge cars were quite a lot lighter, more nimble, and also with a Challenge car, you can have some pretty good shocks in there.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, shocks maketh the difference. I mean, they're just massive in a motor car.
Oh, that's what's connecting your wheel to the floor. So.
Yeah. So there you could actually fine tune a lot, and I used to play with the shock settings a lot. That was really rewarding,
Just take note, Volkswagen Challenge drivers.
Play with your shocks.
Yeah.
That's always dirty.
Bad, eh?
But then going to Polo Cup, you sort of, it was the first time in a turbo car, so I needed to learn a few things, especially launching that thing. And when they had the smaller turbos, I just couldn't get it off the line. I was great at heating the surface of the tire and letting a few guys pass. But yeah, man, then it was actually quite nice because there's less area for you to actually blame the car.
Yeah.
Now it's actually, I've just got to get out there, and the pressure's on me to figure it out.
But that must have been a big, because I mean, at Class A when you were there, it was close, but it wasn't Polo Cup close. Like Polo Cup close, we're talking karting close. We're talking
20 cars
within the second, top 5 within a 10. And the one thing about Polo Cup that I wanted to touch base with you that a lot of drivers get upset about and a lot of drivers enjoy, it's very much a either hate it or love it thing, is the sharing of data.
Yes.
Now that is something that Polo Cup does. If you are the fastest in the station, your data gets shared amongst everybody.
Yes.
How do you, being the Polo Cup champion, being the one whose data got shared the most, I think, between you and Mo Carodia throughout the year, is that a bone of contention, or is that something that you think is beneficial to A, the youngsters, and B, the other guys just trying to get in there and trying to get up there?
I think, listen, it does help develop the drivers. It depends who's showing them the data,
and the ability to read it.
Data is one thing, interpretation is another.
Yeah, and who's interpreting it and understanding what you're doing in the car. I did find it a little bit irritating because, I love it when we go to an away track because then everything's neutralized. And it's who can adapt the quickest. And I always felt like I really enjoyed adapting or having to figure something out quickly. And I found that often put a lot of guys on the back foot. But then where they can just look at your data, they get a bit of a cheat sheet. So, you'd have quite a good margin the first couple of sessions, and suddenly everyone's on you,
That can be quite frustrating, yeah.
Yes.
But you see the other side of it, which is to create as much close racing as possible as well.
Yes, and it develops, especially the youngsters, the guys who are coming in there for the first time. They're actually very lucky to have that opportunity,
I think also it's a case of the success of Polo Cup too, the way that they've changed the rules, the way that they've initiated those type of rule changes where the sharing of data became available. It wasn't originally like that.
No.
Everybody came in with their own little setups, and particularly when they were still in the classic cars like they were when they started, and you had Graham and Henny and those kind of guys all fighting for honours, and they didn't hold back like Challenge usually does. The other big, I think, baptism for you was, Ross, you came in as, and don't take this the wrong way, the oldest driver. You were the oldest driver out there, and a lot of these youngsters are going, please, man.
A lot of these youngsters are their physical trainers.
What are you doing here?
Nutritionists.
you go and run your business. Go and enjoy time with your family. But then, as soon as the results started to come in, I think a lot of changes happened in their expectations and what they sort of saw as this old Volkswagen Challenge champion coming in, and all of a sudden, hey, hang on a second, he's a lot quicker. What is he doing different? And I think therein lies the success of your story, is that you came in, and please take this the right way, because I mean this sincerely. You came in Valentino Rossi-esque style. You had the old school way of driving, the old cars. You had to learn the new cars, and you were up against the youngsters. Exactly what Rossi kind of did in that transition period, where he went from all dominant, no one could touch him, into, hang on a second, I've got to change my riding style, I've got to change my driving style, I've got to go up against Casey Stone, I've got to go up against Mark Marquez, you had to go up against Mo Carodi, you had to go up against the top guns in Polo Cup. And those top guns, as you know, and I'm hoping it's going to be the same for you, but I know that your business commitments might not allow you to have that opportunity, but the top guns from Polo Cup in the past have all gone on to bigger and better things in their racing careers. And I'm not saying that you're not going to do that, but as I said, that's your decision. That's hopefully what you're going to be telling us on what the plans are. So take us through that transition period for you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always just been about work rate, If you can't practice, at least do some physical prep, Try and be fit, so when you're in the car, you've got mental capacity, you're not tired, gasping for breath, that type of stuff. So I've always, and even just incorporating the family, I put my sons on their bicycles and say, come, I'm going for a run, you're riding your bike, and let's go and have a jawl, all the while, it's preparing for that day that you are in the car, and you can just give it your best. And I think also, man, just the opportunity to drive these things, I keep saying it, a lot of the time at the youngsters or in the prize givings, we're the lucky ones, man. So every time you jump in that thing, it's just an opportunity to wring its neck, go as hard as you can, and just drive it and enjoy that experience. Which for me, a lot of the time, I've climbed in a car and I'm like, this might be the last time I ever get to do this. If a deal doesn't come through, or finances don't work out,
it always seems to bring out. I mean, for me, it's always, 2023 was a lucky year. I wasn't ever going to drive again. I was done. 23 came by, I could drive. I got to the World Final. And you get into that seat for the last time in that final, you're like, this could possibly be the last time I drive. And do you feel that adds to your driving? Do you feel like that adds to something, that brings something extra that the other guys don't have, being, there with daddy and driving? I'm not saying it to be insulting, but they're driving with dad. They have the budget. They can do another season. You never quite know if you can do the next season. Do you think that's an added advantage for you? You just feel like you push that a little bit extra, that you work that a little bit harder?
Yeah, it is. And just for me, I'm like, man, if this is the last one, I'm going out with a bang. So let's,
in it to win it or nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a chance. I'm on the start line here. There could be a race win in it. So just head down, do your best, give 10 of your best laps, and see what comes from it, And also just enjoy doing that while you're doing it,
Rose, I think also the other big factor is, and it's something that Carl and I have spoken about on a couple of occasions, and I always mention it, when I was in the race car, and when I was particularly on a bike, more than a race car, because on a bike you've got very limited time for error or space for error, because the potential of becoming worse off is a lot more when you've got nothing around you. But being a family man, as you are, being a businessman, which you also have to look after, that helmet goes in, you say the world shuts out. You have to go into that zone, don't you? Because you can't be thinking,
I've got work on Monday.
I've got work on Monday, or my kids have got a recital tomorrow, or whatever. You've literally got to put it all in for that 10 laps, and that 10 laps of frantic concentration has to be on that car. You can't afford to think, oh, man, that one deal didn't go through. I must make sure that I don't forget to send that email on Monday. It's that crucial. You can't afford to make that mistake or have that thought while you're in the thick of it with those kids in Polo Cup.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just got to switch off and focus on what I'm doing. But also, I think that's the greatest escape of it. I mean, and I think that's why a lot of us all just love motorsport, because when you're driving, you can't think of anything else. There's
no time for it. Yeah.
Yes, you don't have capacity. You're just focused on what you're doing and working the wheel and what's happening during and before and approaching corners or exiting them. And And in a way, that's also just such an escape. I mean, it's the best type of Netflix out there.
The best kind of Netflix out there. That's actually quite
Let me also just put in a spanner in the works slightly, and it's also just it's not a go of what you just said. It's the flip side of the coin. Is you have that escapism and you have that ability to get in the car and shut off and everything. The problem you got though as a family man is what I experienced on a few occasions as well. When I got into that zone and all of a sudden you kind of thought to yourself, do I go for this move or don't I? Because if I go for this move, potentially is I can win the race, but if it goes wrong badly. And sometimes it's not even your own doing. And particularly in Polo Cup, you've been on numerous occasions where you've gone exactly what Harry Hogg said to Cole Trickle, pick a line you can drive through.
Yeah.
You've got to do that. And it's a split-second decision. The split-second decision is you in the helmet in that closed-off concentrated zone. On the outside is Dad, is Mom when she was around, and God rest her soul, she was an amazing lady. And I say that truthfully.
Thank you.
Your dad is amazing too. Squirrely and I have got such a cool relationship. But you've got the family on the sideline, and they're watching what you're going to make that split decision in. And sometimes it goes right, sometimes it goes wrong. And it's the selfish side of our sport, unfortunately, that we have to take into account. As the driver, you're in that zone and everything committed. But on the outside, they're going, that was close, you know?
So I think I'll put it out there. I'm scared to ride a bike. I got the biggest respect for bikers
100%.
because there's probably 40% chance every corner you going down. Where in a car is a little bit different.
Yeah.
We quite a bit more isolated, safer. You got a cage, but also for me, I'm raising 2 young boys, and what's the risk if I don't take the move and then they call me out on it?
Yeah, I think that's more than actually crashing. Like
That's the worst conversation you have.
Oh, why did you go for it? Yeah.
Dad, why did you pull out?
But I think the biggest thing for us, and I say this often, a lot of people say to me like, oh, you love rally, or why do you love it so much? And it's that danger aspect. But we don't think about it when we're in the car. It's nothing, you never ever think, oh, we had that horrible accident, Carl. I mean, injury is something that can happen. But we always think it can never happen to us. So I don't know for you if it's the same. You know it's there, but you never quite think it's there for you.
Yeah. You seem to just zone out and chase the clock.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm hunting
Yeah.
that clock, and even like last year, I had a bit of an off. Thank God it wasn't too bad in East London.
Sure, it was a big one.
But
Pick a spot to have an off. That's not.
No, thanks. Potters, next time try a little bit further down, okay?
yeah, well, early on in the day, the circuit was clean and we had a start, and I hung around the outside, no problem.
Yeah.
But of course, when it was full of marbles, and of course I was on the outside of my
no choice.
championship rival, and I can't back out now.
I'm pretty sure we actually have that on a B-reel.
Yeah, we can have that. We can find that, yeah.
And also part of me, well, I would have given you camera footage, but the camera hit the roof and smashed. So
Exactly. So all you saw was the camera hitting the roof.
and I also told myself when I went there, I said, I can't go back home and tell my sons I lifted at Potters. They're going to say, what's wrong with you, Dad?
Dan, last time you were there, you brought a T-shirt and said, "I've got the balls for Potters."
Potters, yeah.
Now, where are they?
Yeah, you got to live up. You've got to live up to it,
Exactly.
Because when we're sitting at home and we watch a lot of motorsports together and stuff. I'm like, hey boys, look at that guy's commitment, or look what he's doing, and
you've even taken a step forward now and put them into a cart as well. So
yes,
we see in FK often, and also with Matt, we built in that hand operated for the brakes, and so you've been helping him a lot with that as well. And the kids have come.
I want to jump in there, please, if I can, if you don't mind me jumping on your thought there, Carl. That relationship has been pretty spectacular too. I mean,
that's exactly where I was going.
Andre, but I mean, I've known Matt probably as long as you have, and I've known him before even Carl realized where he came from. And when I mentioned the fact that his accident came from a sport that he absolutely was incredible at.
Yeah.
I mean, he was arguably one of the best FMX riders I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I say that hand on heart.
Do you want to full name him so we all know who we're talking about?
You can.
I can't remember his surname, so I'll ask you to do it.
Matt Cohen.
Matt Cohen.
Thanks,
Cohen. Yeah.
We are professionals.
So actually, him and his butt, they're very close.
Yes.
And his butt's James Cohen, and I actually met them through business and thought they'd get involved or get a car for. Matt was keen on racing, and I thought his butt was going to drive it. And, once we got in one of the old Polo Cup cars, he said, well, you might have to drive it for a while, And just thank God to him, man.
For sure.
I drove it for a very long while, thanks to him.
Yeah.
And I got no changes afterwards.
You know, going back to Matt as well, you mentioned the cart that's been converted for him, but he actually drove in Super Hatch.
Yeah.
They converted a car with hand paddles for him to drive in Super Hatch, and he was exceptionally competitive. Being a racer at heart, FMX is not racing; it's showmanship. But he was a motocross rider, so that's where he started his career, and of course that's where he ended up. And his support for you is pretty much on a similar vein to what I'd say your dad is. He's like your brother that you never had, or another brother that you've got. You know,
Absolutely, no. I mean, I mean, both of them, him and his butt, they're just competitive people, man. They're incredible businessmen. They're great guys, but they just wake up wanting to win in anything they do. You know?
And you gave it to them. You handed them a championship.
Yeah, multiple.
But I mean, they just competitive guys. They love being in the throw of it, and I mean, we're actually working on the next project for Matt, hopefully. So let's see. We actually busy with trying to get him into Polo Cup somehow when they switch over to DSG.
Yeah, because it allows the hand controls to work for him and so etc.
So actually the test car is my old race car now. So we busy.
Fantastic. Last
year's car, and they're busy fitting it, and hopefully it all works, and maybe even this year we can see
phenomenal.
We'll have him on the circuit somewhere.
And the lovely thing with Matt Cohen is that him being without the use of his legs and having to modify a car to get him in, it's opened the doors for drivers like Taylor Hill, who's now driving his old. I think it was they used it in 111s.
Yes,
she's now driving his old car to get herself into a race car again with a similar disability, being able to use the hand controls. So he's now opening the doors for others to get into, which is amazing. So to have him in there and have them, the work being done to get him into race cars is also opening doors for others. But you say he's in last year's car, you're saying in a new project for him, but he's driving your old car because there's a new project for you in the line now.
Yes.
And that's to take the step up now into Super Cup, which is the prize for winning Polo Cup the previous year.
Yes.
Again, doing that with help and moving with him into the next class?
Yes. Yeah. We're doing that this year. We're going to do that together. Mike was very, very kind and obliging, letting Andre run the car, but quite a steep learning curve for both of us. We've had 2 days with the car so far, and oh man, it's just an incredible machine. Eh?
They really have built a good car there, Ross.
Yes, they unbelievable, those things. They are just, they're wild. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's like a kart on steroids. It really is incredible.
It's a real race car. Eh?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I mean, you take the success of that, Volkswagen as a brand, we're the only country in the world that run a Volkswagen Motorsport entity. And even in Germany, they've cancelled basically everything except for the involvement of Audi into TT and Lamborghini and Porsche in the GT3 stuff. But Volkswagen itself have no impact in motorsport like they used to have in the previous regimes and years. But on the success of Super Cup, there's a gentleman that's bought 30 of them and taken them and started a whole new Polo Cup series, not under Volkswagen badge, but with Volkswagen product built here in South Africa.
Yeah.
That you have gone and had a chance to sort of develop from Polo Cup into Super Cup, and now you get a chance to go and drive them. And hopefully there's an opportunity at some point, which I know that there usually is during the year, where there's a little cross-pollination. Tyler's going to set the pace for us, hopefully, and show that the world that we need a couple more South Africans there. But is there a chance for Rory to go across and join her as part of that Polo Cup?
Jeez, I don't know. It would be a dream, hey? Wow. I mean, to drive a car, also, just to drive a car here is just what a privilege, and to drive that car. But I mean, if I got a chance to drive it over there, I'll pack my bags now.
I mean, I don't see why.
By the way, his bags are packed, Mike.
They're pre-packed.
Yeah,
but I mean, you talk about the dream, but you really are the dream VW ambassador. I mean, you've gone through the exact program that they put together. They put together the VW Challenge, which is a step up into Polo Cup, which is now a step up to Super Cup. And obviously the next step being SATC, which I'm sure if you show colors in the Super Cup might even be an option for you. But you've done the perfect progression. So you've won the VW Challenge. You've won the Polo Cup. You are a technically minded driver. So the difference between Polo Cup and Super Cup, you spend 2 days in the car. Is it something that, to wrap your head around being at the machine that it is not easier to drive than that of a Polo Cup? Or do you find there's a little bit more in terms of driver input in a car like that?
Yeah, it's different. Polo Cup has a very sort of certain finesse with it, and you really got to sort of, what's the right word, massage it through the corners, but still incredible cars. I mean, they just bulletproof those things, and I think that's a great testament to them. But then switching to the Super Cup is a change of driving style. I mean, your braking and all your inputs in the car need to sharpen. They need to be more aggressive, and I actually quite enjoy that because you can almost start going more to qualifying mode instead of like, being gentle.
Yeah, you can do the 10-10s more often than just being smooth.
Yeah, so you can lean on it a lot harder, which is also just such a lovely feeling. I mean, for me, one of my best times of the day is qualifying. I just love it when you got a new set of boots and that opportunity just to give it that little more and see if it's going to hold, Because sometimes it is like, we're going to throw it in you and let's see.
Hopefully it holds. No, not quite.
You talk about it, and it's honestly a point that, because I did the Polo Cup Tower, and I didn't do it to the extent. I did 3 races, but I always felt that those cars you had to drive slowly. And it's never been something that I could wrap my head around. You've always got to be like, an input super slow, an input into the throttle. And I mean, I'm from karting and GP shifters and supercarts where it's throw the thing in, hope for the best, hope it sticks, stand on it and land on the limit. The Polo Cup is not that.
Yes.
But at least now with the Super Cup, you can then kind of start to step into that realm of how hard can I push this thing and where is the limit?
Exactly.
And I mean, man, that must be a breath of fresh air for you.
Yeah, it is. It is very cool. I'm going to spend a bit more time with the car. We got to prep. We've got Cape Town in a month's time. Yeah. It will be less than a month's time when the show drops.
Well, by the way, it'll actually be in about 3 days' time.
Yeah. We will get the episode order wrong. We will correct it in the bottom.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah. This will be episode.
Don't even try.
Episode 7, just before the first round of Extreme Festival Nationals in Cape Town.
There we go.
See,
he planned it out really well. He's good.
Yes, good.
That's
so I mean that'll be the first time driving that car on that track. It'll be awesome.
But it's a track that you love, though. It's a track that you've had some good results in. You've had some big smacks there as well. I think you hit the pit wall there at one stage.
I did back in the day. Went through the pit wall, but
he didn't smack it. He put the wall on the other side.
He moved it. He didn't like where it was. Must move.
But like I say, if you've ticked that box, you don't need to go there again.
No, it's rather not. He also likes it because you said you didn't ride bikes, but have you ever ridden a motocross bike?
No.
Yeah, you see, that's why you're so good at Cape Town, because it's like a motocross track.
It is.
It's so bumpy.
Are you looking forward to that long back straight at Cape Town with that Super Cup horsepower now?
Yes. Yeah, well, even better, it's just the braking. I mean, the brakes are just immense on that thing. So, it's sort of like a challenge to see how
late can I stop you?
Yeah, that's great, eh?
And getting it right, which I love the braking phase. It's such a cool point in a car because you can't build up G-forces anywhere else like you do in
the braking zone, yeah. And there's so much to do in a braking zone as well. I think that's not a lot of people that don't race don't realize that in that short period of time, it's only sometimes 50 meters, but you've got so much to do in those 50 meters to get the car set up and ready to go into a corner. And the later you can do that, the shorter time it is, the more the car's moving, it's amazing.
Yeah, and trying to keep everything settled and calm. It's actually it's quite a violent sort of process, but you're trying to keep everything as calm and settled as possible so that when you turn in, everybody's ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get off that brake, everything goes silent. You're like, did I set it up right? Oh, and it just kind of floats in. Yeah.
60 times in a race, you got to do that as well. So
with the other cars around you as well. Exactly. So now you're going into this class, you know who you're racing against. You got to give us a name that you think is going to be the one to beat this year. We know it's you, but you've got to add in someone else.
No. I mean, just Jason Loosemore has had a strong year last year. He really came on strong at the end. So I think he's going to be highly competitive. I hear there's a couple of other guys in there. I'm not actually sure who's on the entry list.
So you know, sort of like the Bishop's going to stay for the year? Or?
Yeah, I've got no idea who I'm actually racing against. I know there's Tyler and Jason. That's pretty much it. So we'll see when we get there and just focus on the event. Yeah.
If we really want to.
Well, the first event is Cape Town.
Cape Town's on the 14th of March, yeah.
14th of March, Cape Town.
Yeah, so.
That's such a gnarly circuit. It's super bumpy.
This is the coolest part about doing what we do here.
And then we're going to head into turn one, like super tight. I mean, I think everything we've seen from Cape Town in terms of racing is that turn one, it's always that turn one photo at Cape Town. As they come under the bridge, everybody's 4 cars are wide trying to get in there.
Yes.
So at this point in time, we have Jared Rousseau, Casey Ensel-Smith, Rory Atkinson, and Jason Loosemore. That's the entry list as of yesterday's update. So, I think there's still a couple of guys that are standing by waiting for sort of final sponsors to come in, et cetera, et cetera. But if we look at Polo Cup has only got 10 entries at this point in time. So there's still a bit of time. And I think it's closing time is soon in terms of entries. But it certainly bodes well. I mean, you've been up against Jay, I think, once or twice last year, the year before, because you had the previous year we had the car just for a little bit, yeah. So you kind of seen what his driving style is like. You know what he's capable. You watched him in Super Cup, but I think the world's your oyster there. But to be honest with you, you're coming in as the rookie. You're coming in as the winner of the championship that gets the official drive. You're coming in with your own gun as well. You know, the hired gun that's in your side in the Pistoleria. There's of course Andre, and he certainly seems to be looking forward to the challenge of that new car and getting it to work well for you, as it has done in every other car that you've given him.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, what an opportunity. So, I mean, we just attack each race meeting with our absolute attention and see what we can make out of it, you know?
The one question I have for you, so you're going in with one car with Hobbs. There isn't a second car coming to join you or a second driver coming to join him to...
No.
So there's no sharing of... You don't think maybe looking to find someone who's looking to get into Super Cup and giving them the opportunity to join with you as this privateer team coming into it, you don't think that would be beneficial, or is it just not something you thought about or chatted about?
No. And also, I don't want to share Andre. He must focus on my car.
There we go. Fair. That makes sense.
Take that. Anybody else who wants help racing, not going to happen.
I don't want any other distractions. He's got to focus. He's got 2 Polo Cup cars.
Okay.
But I'm going to be...
You're the number 1 Super Polo.
I do want to give Andre a little accolade, though, because I mean, much as Rory's being selfish there and saying no one else is allowed to use him, I was involved with the team he was in previously where he had 3 Polo Cup cars, and all 3 of them were in contention for championships. John Haber was involved for a championship in the Masters, and the 2 twins were involved with the championship for the Polo Cup. So he certainly has the capability of looking after 3 very competitive, completely different drivers, getting their needs sorted out. And I think that's one of the reasons why I gave such a big up to him earlier on, is that he does have that ability. He has, and particularly when you have a relationship like he has with Rawls, where you can say, listen, this is where you're messing up. This is what you need to do. And Rory will come back and say, okay, here's the feedback I'm giving you. And the feedback is spot on. I mean, you know, we're supposed to have a couple of world famous MotoGP riders that were supposed to join us here a couple of weeks ago, but they never did. But therein also lies a South Africanism, is that we have that ability because we don't have the same technology, the same inputs, the same amount of people behind the scenes that help drivers get to where they get to in international championships and European championships and American championships. Here in South Africa, it might be a one-on-one, like it is.
Yeah.
And that one-on-one relationship is so vital because if you get it right, you're untouchable.
Yeah.
If you get it wrong,
You're in the bush.
you can go, sideways, into potters.
Yeah. No, no thanks. Yeah.
No way, not again.
Tick that box.
Yeah,
Don't need
that.
to do it again. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
Because I
this
think
is lovely working with someone as well, you know, and also having someone to correct you. You know, you are wrong.
Yeah, borderline relationship, yeah.
There are times where he's going to say, you know what, I actually don't think it's the car. I think you're
having a bad day.
you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And also there's times, like I often said, there were times in karting, you know, if Carl got up on the right side of bed and arrived at the race meeting, wasn't shouting at his dad.
It didn't happen often, but it did happen sometimes.
But when it did happen, there were times also you also had to be mature as a driver to say,
He's just on it today.
I don't think I'm going to beat him today, but I'm going to hang in there, be as close as I can. Maybe he'll make a mistake and just prepare myself better for the next time, you know? And I think also sometimes a lot of the young drivers just think they untouchable every single day of the week, and they don't actually know how to roll
That lull
with it when it's not going their way. Then they tend to
Complacency,
their toys more, and they get upset more if they're not quite on the pace. And it's sometimes you have to be, okay, maybe I'm missing a small percent here, and rather just work through it, embrace it, try and do the best you can.
I think that's the best bit of advice I've heard another driver give anybody listening to this is that getting used to being in the front can be so detrimental to your racing career, because when that one day comes that you're not in the front, if you don't know how to handle that and push through it and work through it with the people around you without fighting with them, it becomes almost impossible to step back up there. So in terms of advice on the show, we talk about Commentators Curse, trying to give advice to as many drivers as we can. I think that's probably the greatest piece of advice we've had in the show is that, and I think Nicky Lauda said it in an interview, he doesn't enjoy winning as much as he does enjoy losing, because you learn nothing from winning. You only learn from losing. So I think, as Rory dropped the bomb there, that's definitely the one thing as a young driver you could take from the show is that learn how to push through when you're not winning.
Exactly, and I think that's where we're going to cue Vuyo to drop in the Sylvester Stallone. It's not how you get hit and fall down; it's how you get up afterwards. You know.
Absolutely.
So Vuyo, there you go, and cue Sly.
As hard as life, but it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
No, anything. Ross, I know you're a busy man. You got lots to do, so we're not going to keep you too much longer. But I've got to say to you, from our side of things, I know I'm not allowed to give bias when I'm on a microphone, and we know I'm not allowed to give bias. But
are we not?
When you jumped out of that car and I was able to walk up and have a chat and you put it onto pole and everything was good, and the first time that you got onto pole position, and because it was at a tough time in your life, it was truly satisfying, because I've kind of seen where you've come from. More than what Carl has seen. I've seen it from the outside. He's seen it sort of rivalries to you. But I've also seen the sort of, the progress you've come through, and winning that championship and watching you go up and make the speech at the prize giving that night was really awesome. And I'm going to say, well done. An amazing job, amazing career. Keep it up. Don't stop, because I think you've still got a long way to go, man. And if those international opportunities are available, Macro, this is the man that needs them. Seriously, he's a great ambassador for the sport, and he does a huge amount. It really is. It's very satisfying to see somebody that is on a more mature level, passing on that information like you just heard.
And doing it himself.
Youngsters that are listening, I hope you're listening, because we don't just put this out there for you guys not to learn anything.
Yeah.
The idea is that we want to bring in people like Rory. We want to bring in people like we've brought in the past with Jordan and with Leighton and with Morgan and all those kind of people, and learn from the experience, guys. Take what they say. Don't just listen in and enjoy the B-reels and the jokes and stuff and the banter. There's some vital lessons that you can learn from what we're doing here. And here's a prime example.
Thank you, guys.
And for me, Brooks, I think you are a very important part of what South African motorsport is, and what we need more of is that the gents coming in to do it by themselves. The guys coming to minimize the budget by trying to do it with a smaller team, trying to do it with your own involvement. A lot of the times you're working on the cars on just yourself in the garage at home. Yes. It's not impossible to do that and win championships. You've proven that. So South African motorsport does need more of that. More of the guys that can come in and bring the budget down slower, slightly more, by doing more yourself, and by there increasing more people coming into the sport. So, your success does a lot for us in terms of the motorsport, and well done to you. And I think you can be incredibly proud of what you've done, managing a business, managing a family, and still being able to run a race car to the point that you can win a championship like Polo Cup and get yourself the opportunity of Super Polo. So congratulations, and we'll be watching with a keen eye. I won't be in Cape Town.
He won't have a keen eye. He's got a keen eye. He doesn't know how to spell.
But this is fun. No, guys, these are available. These are called kneecaps.
Check this now.
Kneecaps.
Check the.
Funny, right? You laughed. Dad jokes.
Yeah, but check the merch punt there. You can buy these caps from me. Merch punt.
Kneecaps.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're on that kneecap of a final.
Don't kneecap me.
Ross, all the best for 2026, buddy.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for your time.
To be here. No, thank you.
Please send love to the family. If you want to catch Rory Atkinson, of course, you're going to see him out in Killarney on the 14th of March, the first extreme festival of the year. And it'll be in Super Cup, and hopefully at the front end of Super Cup, I'm expecting him to at least put it on pole in Cape Town, because that's exactly what we do here. We give the Commentators Curse. So there it is. It's out there, and it can't be bettered. So
I'll take it. Thank you. Let's go.
Don't forget to subscribe. Join us for next week. We've got some more guests coming our way very shortly, and it's going to be some exciting times. We're going to be jumping into some of the regional categories and chatting to some of the stars there too, on their way up on their careers and seeing what they're up to. But from our side, until next time, take care then. Bye-bye now.